I'm going to go ahead right now. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in the panel. Folks, welcome the panel. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you, Kelvin?
Hey.
Woo! So excited.
Very good, very good.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess since you're quiet, I'll take over at this point. Normally you kind of lead me in, but I guess not today. Since we're considered the pros. But I do want to welcome our viewers back to the VN group and our special guest, Jaime Schrabeck and Ashley Hackett. Welcome, ladies. It's a pleasure to have you both on our show today.
Thank you for having us. I'm excited to be here.
I was waiting for you guys to jump in, but welcome back to Mr. PhD, my fellow co-host. I have a lot planned for tonight's agenda, and for our viewers, you probably heard and probably see in the background, I'm at home tonight because I have daddy duties tonight. So I made sure to make it home in time for daddy duties. But let's get into it, ladies, because I know we have so much to cover. You both host a fabulous podcast called Outgrowth. And I know that you've shared it on several of our sister shows, the platform, and what you guys discuss. For our viewers on the VN group, I don't think they've had too much exposure to your podcast. So could one of you kind of give us a short overview of Outgrowth, kind of what it is you talk about, maybe a little bio on the both of you, so our viewers know what your background is as it relates to the salon industry, and how long the show's been the podcast's been around.
Well, Jaime, do you want to take the Outgrowth question? And I could do a bio because at least I know that information.
Why don't you start with your bio? Because actually the podcast was your brilliant idea.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, my name is Ashley Gregory Hackett. I am a licensed manicurist in both Illinois and California. I am based in Chicago, and I'm a session manicurist. So I get to do all the fun things, behind the scenes stuff, print and TV and all of those things. And Jaime and I have been independent educator partners and colleagues for several years now. So we thought, why not start a podcast where we can talk about all things beauty, rooted in compliance, and get some good business information out there that doesn't come with strings attached. So Outgrowth was born in February of 2020 when everything just started. So it was really the perfect timing.
And then as a result of the lockdowns, though, did you have to kind of pivot the platform a little bit to address, hot issues, hot topics that you thought, we never even dreamed this would ever happen here in the States?
We had actually drafted a list of potential topics, and we just reshuffled that list and made sure that we had guests on that were attacking the issues, particularly around health and safety first. Ours is not the kind of podcast where we're highlighting some new trend in nail art or some new influencer. It's always going to be about compliance anyway. So we actually think we found an audience early on because of the coronavirus pandemic.
You ladies have set out before COVID came. What is, in terms of percentage, how many of those topics have you now covered, or you still have to get back to it in light of all the COVID-related issues that you've had to deal with?
Probably, we've covered maybe 10% of those original topics. It's fun to go back and look at that spreadsheet of what we thought we were going to cover in 2020 and just laugh and laugh and laugh at the problems we thought we had then. And so it was really interesting to pivot. We recorded our first episode in New York City. We were there for the beauty show that got canceled, I think 7 hours later. And we were in the basement of the Javits Center talking into a microphone, just talking about what was happening. And I think it really helped, like Jaime said, connect us with an audience because everyone was scrambling and we were just looking for good information in one place that we didn't have to try to guess or get through the stuff that was mostly conjecture at that point.
Right. And then in light of the the compliance issues that you discuss in your show, is it geared for any one state in particular, or how do you address the various differences between states on compliance and regulatory issues?
I like to offer outside perspective, but we keep coming back to California just because you're a little bit ahead of where the rest of the country is going as far as things like labor practice and your lockdowns and shutdowns are happening maybe 6 weeks before everyone else's.
For our viewers, I know that you probably see that, you know, at least on the VN group, I talk about California quite a bit, from both the COVID issues, the regulatory issues, and then also the legal issues. And, you know, it may seem a little skewed that I talk about California. I would venture to say probably 75% of the time. But you've heard it there, right there from Ashley, that, you know, we do lead the nation when it comes to being at the forefront of regulations and issues and compliance. So, you know, bear with us. We will get to your state if it's not covered by something California hasn't done. But, you know, send us a message, right? Well, you know, Kelvin always does this. Put it below. Say, hey, Mike, talk about my state. You know, whatever state you're in. If we haven't addressed it, please let us know so we can do our homework and make it relevant to all of our viewers nationwide. Now, I kind of want to move into really the hot issues that we're facing. California, you've all heard, you know, we have this crazy infection rate of COVID-19, the death rates and so forth. So ladies, how has that continued to impact your, you know, professional services? I take it, Jaime, you're up north there. I mean, you've probably been closed since at least December 3rd, when the regional stay-at-home orders were issued, right?
I think our last day in the salon was the 11th of December.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, we're in the Bay. I'm in the Bay Area region.
Okay, and so you're tied into the ICU bed capacity. I'm sure you guys are kind of where LA is, almost at 0% or awfully close to 0% ICU bed capacity. Yeah.
This has been a balancing act, because as we're trying to come up with these topics and secure these experts to share their knowledge, we're trying to account for, you know, the rest of the country where they may not be under a current lockdown. And then you have all of us here in California, who most of us are not operating right now. So we're trying to handle all of that for everyone. And it's been a challenge, but I think it's also given us an opportunity to get experts on the podcast who would normally even participate in a beauty industry podcast.
Right. Actually, I heard earlier, you're in Illinois, is that right? Or did I hear wrong?
I'm in Chicago, yeah.
You're in Chicago. So can you share with our viewers, I mean, what's it like for you as a professional in Chicago? I presume open, or am I wrong there?
We're open with limitations. It's interesting because Chicago is such a densely populated area, and it's so large geographically that we have kind of the Chicagoland collar counties that are progressing further in the phases than the city proper. And so we're hearing from our colleagues that they're able to up their capacity limits, and they're able to now start doing services where the client doesn't have to wear a mask as long as the service provider. So facial waxing, shaving, things like that. And I'm feeling kind of frustrated, but I also understand that we're likely going to be some of the first to get vaccines, just by nature of being in the third largest city in the country. And so I personally have not worked in almost a year, because I work on production. So everything shut down completely. And now it's just kind of like slowly getting back into that headspace. And unfortunately, manicuring for production is kind of one of the last people to be added back into the mix. So I'm just being very patient.
Dispel the rumors, the hearsay, because I still see a lot of posting on various social media channels, especially Facebook, of salon owners or technicians saying we were closed, we were forced to close, and just really some, I don't want to call it egregious, but I'd be surprised where, you know, licenses are being pulled, fines are being issued on the spot, doors are being locked. Jaime, I mean, you're in California. Have you heard of, well, maybe you've heard of it, but do you have any firsthand experience or you know, people you know that you can trust of these type of activities taking place?
The activities I know where someone's license is getting pulled is not in our industry. For example, health permits being pulled from a local coffee shop because they refused to follow the orders. So the health department came in and yanked their operating permit, and then the court actually came down and ordered them to close. So they have, two things going. They're in trouble with the health department, and now they're actually in trouble with the district attorney's office because they've refused to comply. And so they're facing penalties and fines, and it's going to take a lot for them to actually get their health permit back. But as far as our industry goes, there have been many rumors about inspectors coming in and issuing fines or pulling licenses, and that's just not something that our Board of Barbering and Cosmetology is allowed to do. And I'm sure Christy went a long ways in explaining that that's not how her inspectors function at all. They cannot pull a license on the spot, and their inspectors don't fine. So just know that if you ever do have someone coming into your business claiming to be a government official, an inspector of some kind, that person has to identify themselves. They have to show you their official identification. I would require that before I let any stranger into my space, and know that they can't put their hand out and ask you for any kind of money or anything like that to make them go away.
My law office, and also in partnership with Bank of America. We will have representatives from Bank of America on my webinar to talk about the application process, the importance of having a business checking account. And then one of the great things that we were able to have Bank of America commit to is for our Vietnamese American viewers and salon professionals, especially those based here in the Orange County area. Bank of America is going to be rolling out what, I don't know the actual term, but for lack of a better word, a VIP red carpet treatment. So they're going to explain to our viewers on this webinar how to go about the process of, if you're walking to the bank and you tell them that, hey, I watched this webinar with Mike Vo and Pro Nail Association, they will have in place an entire program to walk a salon owner or a nail technician through the process of obtaining a PPP loan. This was something that is much needed. I know for many of our viewers who are not literate in terms of corporate records, corporate documentation, how to go about, because that was a big challenge during the first round of PPP. I was getting a lot of calls from people like, I don't know what I need. I don't know what that document is. And it was, by the time they were able to assemble a lot of it, unfortunately, the bucket had, ran dry. A lot of the bigger companies got their loans and so forth. So viewers, tune in on February 10th from 2 to 3 p.m. We will provide a Zoom link for our Pro Nail Association social media channels and website. We'll have it here on VitNail TV as well. So you can, and then we're going to have it restreamed across multiple platforms. So that way we make sure you guys out there get this valuable information. Jaime, I know that the state of California also has a separate COVID relief bill. Have you heard about that one?
Yes, they have a relief grant that is something that you could apply for if you meet the requirements. And they just had a deadline of the 13th, and you had to apply by the 13th, and they're already starting to notify recipients. And based on the income that you can prove that you had previously, you could qualify at either the $5,000, $10,000, or $25,000 level. And I went through that process, and I happened to qualify at the $10,000 level. It doesn't mean that I'm going to actually get a grant, but having gone through the process, I'm just waiting to hear back. They are structuring it in such a way that it's one of those things like, don't call us, we'll email you kind of thing. And it's very nerve-wracking because, like many of these programs, they had to build this infrastructure from scratch, and sometimes the communication doesn't quite work right, or the systems don't work right. They had to issue new passwords. You're sort of crossing your fingers after you upload everything, hoping that you have everything they expect. And when they say, thank you, we've received your application, it's complete, that it's actually complete.
I'm sure a lot of folks probably didn't do it right then. Just hearing you say, I know that you're well versed in the documentation that's needed, the process of filling it out online and so forth. But I've talked to so many people who, how would I put it nicely, had absolutely no clue. had absolutely no clue, and I feel so terrible for them, because these are the folks who really need that assistance, that financial assistance to get through this. But hopefully, our governor and the state will maybe offer a second round if that's available. Let me turn to you, Mr. PhD. I mean, you've been in close to 10 months of lockdown. I think last time we talked to you, you had mentioned that it was becoming, that almost that point of no return. I mean, are you looking at a second round of the PPP loan, or kind of what are you doing to get your salon and the folks that work for you to get through this?
Yeah, for the first PPP, we already get it through my CPA, and helping me because they hold all the papers. And the only thing is we need to do the signature, make sure everything is right before they turn to the bank. We get that. And also, like JB say, the California helping, we make an application for that. And yes, we are struggling back and forth before they say, okay, your file is complete. And for me, I got an estimate for 15K, but I don't know whenever we got it. And the PPP number 2 coming up, and then we already talked to the CBA, and the CBA will say they will submit the paper probably by today or tomorrow, because they usually working together with the bank for the first PPP. So most of the information they need for the PPP number 2, it should be there. So the only thing is they make sure it correctly, or maybe some more new information required from the bank. So they will upload for them. So I'm okay for that.
Folks, make sure you go to the Outgrowth Facebook page right here, and check them out. Okay, make sure that you you sign up, become a subscriber. By the way, Mr. PhD, I am an official VIP subscriber, not just a subscriber. I am VIP. Okay, brother. All right. So, folks, make sure you go there and check them out. Support them. They have such good information. Okay. Now, let me see what else. One last thing, Mike, and I'm done. Folks, on that note, thank you so much again for joining us. Make sure that you follow us and you like us, and also you share this webcast. Why? Because it's valuable and it's good information, and that's how we spread the education. All right? On that note, folks, have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. All right? On that note, folks, peace out.